So yeah, as I say, I work for the Royal Horticultural Society, and I'm going to be chatting through some really exciting things that have happened so far since September, and then Victor's going to talk through some really, really exciting learning content that we've got online. So just a quick look for those who are just starting out in their Nature Park journey. What are we? So we're funded by the Department for Education. We're a free education programme, and we hope to empower the next generation to understand, care for, and improve the natural world. And how do they do that? So they do that through our 5-step cycle, which enables children, young people, and educators to guide through a process which builds evidence base to make informed decisions around what happens on the education estate for improved biodiversity and improving school grounds in general. We also have a whole host of curriculum-aligned, quality-assured resources that put nature and climate at the heart of everyday teaching, and that's across subjects and key stages, and we'll learn a little bit more about that shortly. Alongside all of that, we're trying to collect really valuable data about what nature looks like on school sites, which is part of important global biodiversity research, as well as giving us the first ever insight at this level to what biodiversity looks like on the education estate and what kind of environments our children and young people are learning in every day. So who's it for? Anyone can register, nurseries, schools and colleges in England. You do not need to have enormous green space. And actually, if you've only got grey space, that presents a really exciting opportunity in terms of improving biodiversity and also including improving access to green space and nature connection for your pupils and students. You don't need any prior knowledge of climate or nature education. The programme is built to scaffold from the very beginning and introduce new topics as you go. The programme's designed to fit into the school day. The programme is for children and young people up to Key Stage 5, and it's linked to various curriculum subject and school priorities. So where are we at currently? We're in our 3rd academic year, and right now we've got 4,000 sites on the Nature Park map, which means children and young people from 4,000 nursery schools and colleges across England have contributed to going outside, looking what's in their school grounds and adding that to our map. And that is growing by the day. And obviously spring is the time when lots of folks get out there. So we're really excited to see what we can do this academic year as well at this midpoint. So that is more than 70 million square metres of habitats mapped. And that's equivalent to 13,600 Olympic swimming pools. And I did think we should have put a Winter Olympics reference in here, but I do not understand the sports in there. So we'll have to do that next time. So how to get started, for those who are getting started, we have a page on that to introduce you to the key concepts and the key starting points. We also have a page for early years for their different journey as well for getting started. We have a resource library where we host all of those quality assured nature and climate linked curriculum content and activities, and you can filter that by key stage, by subject area or by Nature Park step. And you can contact your regional team. So we have an incredible team of people across the country in every region supporting the sector and schools, nurseries and colleges to take part in the Nature Park. And they can guide you on your locally available support, how to do Nature Park, how to do habitat mapping. They're there for everything. So you can find them on that Finding Local Help page as well if you've not already connected with them. So what happened last term? It was a big one. We launched our annual report, which showed what we did basically last academic year and the impact we have, both regional and national, looking at all of that amazing, rich habitat and biodiversity data we've got from across the country, but also some fantastic case studies from different settings across the country and other organisations and how we're working to kind of further nature and climate. So that's all available. It's got lovely infographics for anyone who loves infographics, because I know I do. We've also launched our early years programme. So a lot of last year was spent researching and testing our programme in nurseries, and all of that work resulted in a refined programme for early years and nurseries, and also a separated early years newsletter as well. So you can sign up to that. There's also a webinar on the early years Nature Park on the 4th of February. We can pop the link in the chat to that as well. A massive development for us, which is super exciting for all the map lovers out there. It's on the right-hand side. It's the Nature Park map, and that's a tool to visualize all of the Nature Park data. So what I've done here is probably not best practice, but I added on all of the data layers so I could see them all in one go and see how rich that data is. So you can go in there and see all of your habitats that you've mapped, all of your iNaturalist, all of your Hidden Nature Challenge, Habitat Heroes, all of the data you've submitted. You can see it all in one go, and you can see what your neighbours are doing as well. And alongside that, there's also learning activities and resources that go with it. You can also add on other external data layers, so geology, for instance, and use that for teaching and learning as well. So that's a massive development. There will be a few webinars on the new Nature Park map coming up. The first one's on the 11th of February, and that's for organisations to support users of the Nature Park map, and we'll have one for education settings specifically later on in the year. An enormous development from last term was that the Department for Education commissioned an external evaluation from Ecoris, and that showed some really interesting and cool findings, which I'm going to talk through now. So how's it going? So this was a really robust study from Ecoris. Over 500 educators responded to their survey, which is absolutely fantastic. And if you're on the call and you did that survey, thank you so much. It was coupled with 10 in-depth case studies where they did interviews, observations with schools running the Nature Park programme. And it produced loads of insights, and these are just a few. So no surprise to anyone on the call, but pupils enjoy learning outdoors, which is good to hear, even though we know it to be true. Educators are finding resources and digital tools easy to use, which is fantastic. What we're doing is very complex, and what we've done is build a programme and scaffold for it to be easy for everyone. More than 1/3 registered had no prior involvement in nature-related programmes, which is absolutely music to our ears. What we're doing is trying to further the nature and climate work across the education sector. So that is absolutely fantastic for us. We've got 38% of registered settings are those with higher than average eligibility for pupil premium free school meals, and that's driven by the grant programme funded by the Department for Education and directed to education settings in areas of green deprivation. And 66% of respondents were delivering Nature Park activities, most commonly as part of classroom activities. So that's fantastic evidence for us. As I said earlier, we've designed the programme to fit into the school day. So that's great to see. And similarly, the Nature Park has lots of different reasons that folks get involved, and through the different phases, the reported benefits were different as well. So the study found in early years that the programme is supporting language development and emotional and behaviour regulation. In primaries, there was evidence of positive engagement from pupils who struggled with concentration and behaviour in classrooms. And then in secondary, pupils reported to have pride and ownership of spaces they'd improved and motivation to take further action. So that is an incredible pipeline from the really young ones in early years, having that initial connection to nature, to developing that positive engagement with the outdoor space in primary, and then developing that agency as we go on into secondary. So that's an incredible pipeline of benefits we're seeing. Just a bit on policy. I know everyone's favourite topic, but this is very exciting, and it shows again the multiple benefits that the Nature Park programme is having, and working with fantastic educators like you all on the call. So the Nature Park was featured in the School Estate Management Standards, and that was last April, not last term, but that's the Department for Education's policy. Last term, we were also featured in the Environment Improvement Plan, which comes from the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. And then last term, we were also featured in the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero in their Energising Britain policy as a feature on youth involvement and youth engagement in sustainability and climate change action. So they're just incredible spot mentions in these policies that show that this is a real priority for government. And then zooming out into broader outdoor learning, climate and nature education, there is a few amazing developments. So the United Nations Environment Assembly concluded in December, and that resulted in this draft resolution on enhancing the meaningful participation of youth in environmental processes and in environmental education. Translating that, what that means is a call to action for all the member states, which include the UK, to provide meaningful opportunities for young people to participate in environmental matters. And that's exactly what we're trying to do on Nature Park and what everyone on the call is trying to do. And also integrating environmental education and literacy into education systems and ensuring those green skills are in there and being developed, which again is fantastic news for everyone in the sector. The BBC News article on the right-hand side is a really cool study that was done in 4 primary schools in London, and they monitored 600 lessons across all 4 seasons. And these lessons were a mixture of subjects, not just nature-related subjects. And they monitored the indoor lessons and the outdoor lessons, and they found some really interesting findings. So they found a lower noise level. They compared the noise level in the classroom to having a Hoover on all day, and the decibels were much lower outside, which you would predict. This improved the focus of the pupils and students, and it also lowered their heart rate by 3 beats per minute, which is fascinating. And all of this research is adding to the evidence of what we're all trying to do. So a little look at what we've got coming up in 2026. So more curriculum resources, and Victor's going to talk that through with us now. We've got the Grassland Survey, which is the next in the series of the Biodiversity Survey. So some of you may have already done the Pollinator Survey, and this Grassland Survey, which should be out around March, and that should enable you to take a deeper dive into your grass and how it's doing, and submit that onto our fantastic Nature Park map. And again, these are foundational elements to build your understanding of your school grounds and the evidence you have to make evidence-based decisions on the biodiversity improvements you do with your children and young people. We are currently in the development phase for SEND audience research and refining the programme, so there'll be more on that over the coming months. And there will be lots more case studies. And if you have a great story, please do let us know. We've already got a lot on the website about how different nursery schools and colleges are taking their Nature Park programme forward, how they're doing whole school approach, how they're doing habitat mapping, some amazing growing projects as well, and biodiversity elements. So lots more to come on there. So that's me. I'm going to hand over to Victor now to talk about the incredible curriculum content.
Hello. So what resources are available as part of the Nature Park? Well, we've got a whole suite of resources to help facilitate student leadership in the Nature Park program. That's that 5-step process that Sam alluded to that helps your students look more closely at your school grounds, identify what they have, make decisions around what changes they might like to see, and then record the impact of those changes. And if you click, I think we've got a few more points, Sam. We also have resources to support embedding climate and nature education into the curriculum, because we're really keen that Nature Park isn't just an added extra. We want to make sure that it's something that's really easy for you to do as part of your regular classroom teaching. There's also a whole suite of digital tools for measuring land use and biodiversity. So those are the surveys that Sam mentioned, pollinator count and the upcoming grassland survey coming out later in the spring. And we've also got guidance for enhancing school grounds for nature. So you'll find a lot of educator guidance documents that are around how do you make changes, and then guidance for if you're new to doing outdoor education, you're not quite sure how to get started. We've got a lot of guidance documents to help you frame your thinking around how do you take a lesson outdoors. And next slide. All of these resources sit in our resource library, and these are all curriculum-aligned resources, and they go through a quality assurance check process. One of these checks is that any of our resources that have any kind of climate education angle, they're all checked and verified by the Royal Meteorological Society, and those resources will receive the check mark that you can see on the bottom of the page there. Community science resources are reviewed by the researchers and the team at the Natural History Museum to make sure that they are going to produce really robust data for when they go into the Nature Park map, and then so our researchers can use those to help us get an understanding of what's going on the school grounds. They're also checked by myself and the curriculum development team and piloted with teachers in schools with students, so that we know that one, that the protocol is doable by your students, but also that they're fun and that your students really learn something from the process. And the resources also all align with the nature park climate education framework. So next I wanted to spotlight a few of the resources that have recently come out. The first one here is a Key Stage 3 physics resource. It looks at heat and lighting. Oh gosh, light and heating. There we go. That's the way around. And it looks at how you can explore those phenomena through everyday experiences around school grounds. And the idea is that the resources support learners to explore how we can make local environments more heat wave resistant. And the resources are also structured so that you can weave the activities and ideas into your existing schemes of work. Next slide. The next resource is an EYFS resource. So we had a whole suite of these developed with specialists that were released last term. And here's one of them. It's called Planning Our Green Future. And this one is part of continuous provision for expressive arts and design. And it really encourages younger learners to creatively explore their environment, look at what features are around, think about what it is that they like, things that maybe they don't like, and things that they might like to change. Next slide. Next resource is for Key Stage, I'm saying 2+, and it's called Exploring Data. And on that page, you'll find a few different data sets. So it's 2+ because the data sets are in different levels of complexity, and they're just raw data sets. So they're just spreadsheets that have been put together from data collected by community scientists. So in the pollinator count data, that is the same pollinator count that schools can do, but the data sets here were collected by staff at RHS Gardens and also the public here at the Natural History Museum. Public visitors last summer were doing pollinator count with us. And so if you decide to do pollinator count at your school, you have some data sets to compare them against to figure out what you'd like to do at your school. And then the other resource is Bugs on Plants. This one is the data set that is actually compiled from a website called iNaturalist. It's a fabulous community science platform, and there's guidance around how you might want to use iNaturalist up on the website as well. But that data set has a listing of different bugs and what plants they were perching on. So you can use that data set just to explore graphing, how many different types of beetle are found on this kind of plant, that sort of thing. And if you get really ambitious, you might look at that data set, look for patterns, and then use that to plan bug surveys that you might conduct at your own school based on real data collected by other members of the public. Next slide, please. And coming up in the not too distant future, we've got some geography resources. So we've got inquiry fieldwork resources, and these will be produced for Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, and Year 7. These resources are being developed with support from the Geographical Association, I think. And a lot of them are focused around creatively exploring water on playgrounds, thinking about that water cycle, how water moves across the landscape, that kind of thing. Next slide. Also coming soon, we've got a computing resource to do with bumblebees. So this resource, the idea behind it is to explore computing concepts of decomposition, breaking things apart, and algorithms, a set of instructions. And they give you a rough introduction to how AI image recognition works. And your students can make your own algorithm or a flow chart for identifying bumblebees, and you might then turn that flow chart into a program. The resource is based on specimens from the Natural History Museum collection. So you can see on the screen there's 3 bumblebee cards. Those are real specimens from our collection, all from the same species. So you can see the kind of variation that there exists within a species of bumblebee. And your students can work with those to do basic sorting and classification activities, or use the rest of the resource set to explore these computing concepts. It's entirely up to you. These resources are mostly developed, but we're actually looking for teachers who might like to give them a try, help us pilot them so that we can really make sure that they work in classrooms with students. So if you're interested in piloting any of these resources, or any other future development resources. We're working on visual arts, we're working on music, all kinds of things all the time. And if you might be interested to help us pilot any of these things, you can get in touch with your regional support officer. And then I think I'm handing back to you, Sam.
Yes, thank you, Victor. And I've heard great things about the Bumblebee and computing resource, so do get involved because it sounds very cool. My final note is on supporting climate action plans. So the Department for Education continues to expect all education settings to develop and implement a climate action plan, and the National Education Nature Park can support on this. So we aren't just in the biodiversity pillar, we have content that can support across adaptation, climate education, obviously, and decarbonisation. We have a blog around this as well, which can help you with understanding how your nature park work can fit into your climate action plan. And also just to say there is a whole host of support out there available for you, funded by the Department for Education. So we've got the Sustainability Support for Education platform where you can basically get a tailor-made instructions on how to develop your climate action plan based on where you're currently at in your nursery, school or college. There's the Climate Ambassadors Programme where you can access climate ambassadors to come in and support you with basically whatever you need to develop your climate action plan. And there's also Let's Go Zero, who have climate action advisors who are available to come into your school and again support with the development and the implementation of your climate action plan. So there's a whole heap of things to get involved with there, and all the work you're doing and nature and biodiversity should be front and centre in your climate action plans. And as well as through the nature part, you're involving your children and young people. That's also absolutely incredible to include in those climate action plans as well. So final slide is just a thank you for joining us today. If you've got any questions, we've got the hello@educationnaturepark.org.uk email address. Follow us on LinkedIn. We also have lots of webinars coming up and you can find them on the homepage as well as being able to watch all past webinar recordings on our YouTube channel. And we've got a lot on there as well. So make sure you check that out. But thank you so much for joining us today and we'll see you soon at the next events.